No one cares about Monica McDougal. Monica says things like this to bring attention to herself.
Monica McNutt just made a career-ending mistake, and it all comes down to her relentless attacks on Caitlin Clark.
The one thing that I cannot deny is the amount of little girls that were showing up to follow her.
Why her?
Well, but she was a white girl from the middle of America.
There's a method to this madness. When given a chance to talk about Caitlin Clark, they're always going to racialize it and try to demonize Caitlin Clark's fan base.
Yet, instead of appreciating Clark for leading the WNBA out of the abyss and into the mainstream conversation, mean girls and race clowns met her with resistance. Because Caitlin Clark's white, that's why little girls have gravitated towards her. I think what she's saying is ridiculous, and to tie it to little girls, you're going as low as humanly possible at this point.
What started as criticism quickly spiraled into something much worse, and now the backlash is impossible to ignore. Fans are outraged, networks are taking notice, and McNutt's credibility is on the line.
Former black players have decided, hey, we're going to hate on Caitlin Clark constantly to elevate ourselves, but also trigger her fans so that they'll keep coming to games and rooting for her, and it's going to elevate the entire league.
Did she underestimate Clark's influence, or was this downfall inevitable? Let's break it all down. Monica McNutt has built a reputation for her strong opinions, but this time she may have gone too far. What started as subtle jabs at Caitlin Clark quickly escalated into full-fledged disdain, and fans are not letting it slide.
Why have all these fans come to see Caitlin? And all the little suburban white girls have hopped on board because Caitlin Clark, she resonates with them more so than the angry black lesbians who dominate the WNBA.
McNutt, who has positioned herself as a leading voice in sports media, has repeatedly questioned Clark's impact on the WNBA, dismissing her rising influence and downplaying her achievements. But the problem? The numbers don't lie, and neither do the fans. Caitlin Clark has shattered records, brought unprecedented attention to women's basketball.
It's a lot easier for a 5'7" girl to relate to a 6' girl than it is a 6'5" woman who's angry and whose best friend is some transgender man that thinks he's a woman and who walks around preaching to little white girls, you got a privilege and you don't have to work as hard as me and you don't have to do as much as me, because they're not willing to have the true discussion about why Caitlin Clark is so popular.
And completely change the financial landscape of the WNBA. With sellout crowds, record-breaking viewership, and endorsement deals worth millions, Clark's presence in the league is undeniable. Yet McNutt has chosen to be one of the loudest voices attempting to downplay her success.
Caitlin Clark is relatable and popular, and people want to see her play because she's exciting as heck to watch and because she's not filled with anger. People are attracted to joy.
She's called out the media for giving Clark too much attention, suggested that her rise is overhyped, and even hinted that other players are more deserving of the spotlight. These comments might have gone unnoticed if they were just casual observations, but they've become a pattern, one that fans and analysts alike have begun calling out. The tipping point came when McNutt's latest remarks seemed more personal than professional. Instead of sticking to basketball analysis, her criticisms started sounding like targeted attacks.
Monica has figured out a way to make the WNBA relevant and profitable long term. The lady from the BBC, she seems to be asking Monica McDougal how the WNBA can maintain their momentum from last season. There's an easy answer to that question. More than likely, they can't.
Two things. I think it has to show up in our storytelling, and it has to be encouraged by our families.
Yeah.
To me, right? And so covering the WNBA this past season, Caitlin Clark's rookie year, for all of the conversation that surrounded her, some which was fair and some which wasn't, the one thing that I cannot deny is the amount of little girls that were showing up to follow her. Little girls with their parents and the fervor and the energy there.
Why her?
Same thing.
Why her?
Well, I was just about to say same thing for Angel Reese when I had a chance to cover their games. But I think Caitlin represented, and again, some of this to me probably is not fair to her because it was not anything that she said or was truly based on her personality, but she was a white girl from the middle of America. And so she represented a whole lot to a lot of people, whether that is truly what she prescribed to or not. We can all say. She is a dynamic basketball player and a force, both on the court and the marketing sense. But I do think, same thing with folks that may have fallen in love with Angel Reese that she may or may not have agreed with everything they had to say either. We attach our fandom to these icons for all types of reasons.
Where are these Angel Reese fans? When I see Chicago Bravado games on TV, the only things I see are missed layups and empty seats.
She downplayed Clark's impact on the league, questioned whether she deserved all the praise, and even hinted that the attention she receives is purely a media-driven narrative rather than based on merit. That was the moment fans snapped. Social media erupted with backlash, with many accusing McNutt of letting her personal biases cloud her judgment.
But she was a white girl from the middle of America.
ESPN and claimed that Monica McDougal is an NBA analyst. Obviously, Monica never played in the NBA. Monica wasn't even good enough to play in the WNBA. Maybe that's why Monica seems to be jealous of Caitlin Clark.
It wasn't just Clark's supporters who took issue. Sports journalists and former players began weighing in, questioning why McNutt seemed determined to undermine the biggest star the league has seen in years.
Kids that come from two-parent homes can relate to Caitlin Clark because they have more in common with her values and the way she presents herself.
The response has been brutal. McNutt's credibility is now under fire, with many questioning whether she's still an objective analyst or if her commentary is driven by resentment toward Clark's success. Fans have flooded social media, calling for networks to reconsider her role, and some are even urging sponsors to take a stand.
She's not Angel Reese, who can barely make a layup. She's not Asia Wilson, who is 6'4" or 6'5" and completely unrelatable to most women.
The backlash is growing, and if McNutt thought she could continue her anti-Clark rhetoric without consequences, she's now learning the hard way that Clark's fan base isn't just large, it's powerful.
And little girls said, hey, I can relate to Caitlin Clark. She's like us. She has a boyfriend. There's a lot of parents that feel real comfortable taking their kids to a game.
Monica McNutt's comments didn't just spark a debate, they ignited a firestorm. The moment she downplayed Caitlin Clark's impact, the reaction was swift and relentless. Fans, analysts, and even former players began dissecting her remarks, calling out the clear bias in her narrative. And the evidence against her stance is overwhelming.
Juju Watkins goes down with a devastating injury that might keep her out next season. God forbid. If the same thing happens to Caitlin Clark, the WNBA will not survive. You have one young woman carrying the entire league. And Monica McDougal and her pretend friends in the media, they are doing everything they can to piss off her fan base.
Clark isn't just another rookie. She's a generational talent who has completely reshaped the WNBA's financial landscape. Before Caitlin Clark entered the league, the WNBA struggled with attendance, viewership, and sponsorship revenue. While there were loyal fans, the numbers paled in comparison to men's sports. Then came Clark, a player whose influence stretched far beyond the court. Ticket prices skyrocketed, viewership records were shattered, and even opposing teams saw massive surges in attendance whenever they faced her.
She shoots logo threes, passes the ball like Magic Johnson, scores a lot of points, leads the league in assists. She's a great, great player, and she plays and shoots and releases the ball like Steph Curry. So there's the attraction to the exciting style of play.
The proof is undeniable. Clark is bringing in an entirely new audience and making the league more profitable than ever. And yet, McNutt chose to diminish her impact. One of McNutt's biggest criticisms has been the media's overwhelming focus on Clark. But here's where her argument falls apart. Clark isn't receiving attention just because she's a marketable figure. She's receiving attention because she's an elite player.
She's not playing with anger. She's not playing with a sense of entitlement. And yes, people find that relatable. They like Caitlin Clark because she's not a victim, because she doesn't seem to be angry. And so they find her relatable.
Her statistics back it up. She consistently puts up incredible numbers, dominates games, and performs under pressure. Every time critics try to question her hype, she responds by delivering on the court. McNutt, however, refused to acknowledge this. Instead, she implied that other players were being overshadowed and that Clark was being handed the spotlight instead of earning it. But that claim doesn't hold up when you look at the facts.
Right, and that's what a lot of these women are doing is they feel like what we have done for this game, this young player has come into our game and she's getting way more respect and all that stuff than we are. As she should. The young girl is a baller. The young girl has people watching because of the way she can shoot this basketball like Steph Curry. Steph Curry can't dunk. Steph Curry don't do none of that in the game. He can probably dunk by himself, but he don't really do none of that in the game. He is a shooter, and fans tune in to see Steph Curry. When I look at Caitlin Clark, fans are tuning in to watch her, and you know who that's helping? Everybody else. It's helping the Asia Wilsons. It's helping everybody else, the Plums, all that. It's helping all of them, the Tarasis.
Other WNBA stars have been around for years, yet none have generated the level of excitement and revenue Clark has. The reason is simple. Clark is the type of player that captures audiences, sells out arenas, and makes the game exciting to watch. When people tune in to see her play, they aren't just supporting Clark. They're supporting the entire league. The increase in jersey sales, the record-breaking TV ratings, and the sponsorship deals aren't just about Clark. They're about the WNBA finally reaching new heights.
There's so many players who cite you as an inspiration for their games, including Caitlin Clark, who's just absolutely a phenomenon in college. What's that next step like for her?
You know, next steps, gosh, in this generation, right? You have, I think, just so many more challenges of how to handle yourself as an adult, right? You go through that whirlwind of being a senior in college, transitioning into the W. And then the next step is how to become just an even better leader. And so much of leadership, I think, is listening and learning. And hopefully the more she can get connected to vets in the league and just different people and coaches and anyone that she can glean wisdom from of how to just continue to learn how to be as a connected and inspiring leader as she can be. And a lot of that is walking the walk and not just talking the talk. So she's already on her way, but, continuing to have fun, continuing to anticipate how people are going to try to stop her and being prepared as she can be for next season.
But McNutt's refusal to recognize this isn't just frustrating for fans, it's damaging to her own credibility. A sports analyst's job is to evaluate players based on skill, impact, and performance. Yet McNutt's words make it seem like she's more interested in pushing a personal agenda rather than providing objective analysis. The more she criticizes Clark unfairly, the more she loses the trust of viewers who expect fair and honest commentary.
Little girls are not the answer to the WNBA's financial problems. Why? Because little girls don't have money.
And it's not just Clark's fans who are pushing back. Even neutral observers in the sports world are questioning McNutt's stance. Former players, analysts, and journalists have begun weighing in, calling out the clear disconnect between her statements and reality. It's one thing to have an opinion, it's another to ignore facts. And as McNutt continues to double down on her position, she's quickly finding herself isolated in an argument that most people simply don't buy.
Caitlin Clark is a hell of a player for sure, but I don't take disrespect lightly. And she disrespected Alexis and my girls. South Carolina, they still my SEC girls too. Y'all not gonna disrespect them either. So I wanted to pick her pocket, but I had a moment at the end of the game, and I was in my bag. I was in my moment. Yeah.
Honestly, I have no idea. I was just trying to get to the handshake line and shake hands, and be grateful that my team was in that position. That's all you can do is, hold your head high, be proud of what you did, and all the credit in the world to LSU. They were tremendous. They deserve it.
Dejounte Carrington, you wouldn't even know who she was if she didn't try to beat up Caitlin Clark in a game. You wouldn't even know, but these two clowns got together as the dumbest people in sports and saying, wait for it, they need more money, threatening to hold out if they don't get what they want.
McNutt's career has been built on her strong takes, but this time, she may have picked the wrong battle. By refusing to acknowledge the reality of Clark's impact, she's not just alienating fans, she's risking her own reputation in the process. And if the backlash continues to grow, she may find that her place in sports media isn't as secure as she once thought. As the backlash against Monica McNutt intensified, it became clear that this wasn't just about one comment. It was about a pattern. McNutt's refusal to acknowledge Caitlin Clark's undeniable impact on the WNBA has put her credibility on the line. And fans are calling her out for what they see as blatant bias.
Most influential female athletes right now. Coco Gauff, 10. Juju Watkins, number 9. Cameron Brent, 8. Paige Beckers, number 7. Sabrina Ionescu, number 6. Asia Wilson. So Asia's not going to be happy either. Jakari Richardson was number 4. Simone Biles, number 3, right here. I can't quite get past the fact that Simone Biles is behind Angel Reese. Caitlin Clark, she ran away with number 1. I don't think that should surprise us. She came away with number 1. Caitlin Clark is redefining the entire landscape of women's sports. Her dominance on the court has shattered outdated narratives about women's sports, proving that women's basketball can be just as marketable and widely watched as men's. But the Caitlin Clark effect goes far beyond her performance. It's reshaping the entire sports landscape. Her presence alone boosts the WNBA attendance by 105% compared to games without her, while road games featuring her Indiana Fever see an 87% increase in opponent home attendance. Her rookie debut sparked a staggering 200% jump in WNBA viewership, while Fever home games drew a league-high 186,000 fans last season, a 265% increase from 2023.
The sports media industry thrives on strong opinions, but when those opinions ignore facts, they lose all weight. And that's exactly what's happening here. One of the biggest issues with McNutt's stance is that she's contradicting the very reality unfolding in front of her. Caitlin Clark's presence in the WNBA is historic, not just because of her talent, but because of the tangible changes she's bringing to the league. The Indiana Fever's schedule has become the hottest ticket in town. TV networks are seeing record-breaking ratings, and endorsement deals are pouring in like never before.
The association, they gave us a gym that I paid for. Not entirely, but they took money out of my check and I paid for it.
You better get the fucking full usage of that.
Man, I got hot tub, cold tub, weight room, full court basketball room. I walk in today, I'm on one side working out, Caitlin Clark on the other side.
Really?
I look at myself, there you go, 2 fucking legends, Patty.
Did you say what's up?
You know I say what's up, but I'm not the type to say what's up to interrupt your workout because I don't like people to interrupt mine. She can shoot the shit out of it.
And the WNBA assist leader this past year.
She can shoot the shit out the ball.
She's a great shooter.
And she's one of those workout people, you know, got to think, anytime I hit the court, I got to hit that bike. I'm older now, so I got to get on that bike and stroll for a couple, 5, 6, 7 minutes. So while I'm strolling through the park, I'm looking at her shoot it. And she's one of those shooters where, if you know, as a gym rat, you guys know, like, damn, bro, why you throw that pass bad? Give me the ball in my chest. I'm like, oh, she's a gangster also.
She's lighting people up.
Throw me the ball the way I want it.
What drill was it? What drill was she running?
I don't know. She was doing a 2 in a row corner wing. And if you miss, you have to go back to the next spot. And if you missed again, you have to go back to the starting spot. She had a nice drill. I'm literally still in it.
That's nice.
And she was shooting the shit out of it.
Of course she was.
Right. So she was shooting the shit out of it. And
she's the face of the league.
Agreed.
She's the face of the league. Agreed.
Yet McNutt is choosing to downplay all of this, acting as if Clark's success is a manufactured narrative rather than the result of her generational talent and marketability. The numbers don't lie. Clark's games have led to sellout crowds, and even road games are seeing spikes in attendance, with fans traveling just to watch her play. Merchandise featuring her name and number is flying off the shelves. Social media is flooded with clips of her deep three-pointers and clutch performances, drawing millions of views. Every metric points to one conclusion. Clark is single-handedly raising the profile of women's basketball. And yet, instead of recognizing this as a positive for the sport, McNutt continues to take jabs at Clark and question the attention she's receiving. And this is where McNutt's credibility takes a massive hit.
It almost felt like marketers were trying to figure out, like, yeah, we have all of these amazing players and these amazing personalities, but can we push the demographic? And then when Caitlin Clark got to the league, the Angel Reeses got to the league, and they might have been fouled hard. The same thing I saw happen with Shamika Holtzclaw, though.
You see my tooth knocked out?
Yeah,
Rookie season, Joel Lloyd. My tooth knocked out. I still didn't get it.
So how do you?
It's cool.
T-Clark, how do you feel about the fact that all of a sudden it was, oh, it's too physical. Oh, they're going at him because they're stars. What was your reaction to some of the new viewers and fans to the game thinking that the WNBA was too rough?
It was a crazy season because we have never had so much momentum behind our league, so much support, demand, viewership, all that, accessibility. But the craziness that came with the new fandom was rooted in something other than fandom, right? And I think that's very evident to see across the board. In a lot of ways, it has not been about basketball. Like, we can talk about, you know, people getting fouled. I just showed you my tooth getting knocked out. Like, that's been a part of the game. The game has always been physical. I can tell you the amount of times I've left with bloody lips and eyes. I have bruises all over my body, even from the game last night. You can see bruises on my elbow from last night. Like, it's just a part of the game. So there was no targeting. There was no nothing. Right. That narrative that got spun into, oh, the vets hate the rookies hate the vets are going after certain players. It's all bullshit. Like, if I'm just gonna be frank, it's all bullshit. What it is racism, right? It gets blown up into, oh, they're going after Caitlin Clark, but no, we're just playing one of the best players that's in this league the way that any other best player, franchise player is gonna get played. Mm-hmm. Watch how Stewie gets played. Watch how Asia gets played. Watch how Enrique gets played. Watch how Khalid gets played. Go down the list of franchise players for every team. They be getting fucked up every game. It don't matter what position you are, what color you are, what school you came out of. This is how we feed our families. Our job is to go and win. And if we don't win, what happens? We get fired. We lose our jobs. So
facts. Caitlin Clark is getting mauled, no calls. Ryan Clark is a clout chaser that stinks at sports commentary. His co-hosts aren't worth mentioning. Natasha Cloud, a.k.a. Natasha Clown, is running the race baiting media because she's average at best in the W, and now she's stuck in Connecticut because she stinks.
A sports analyst should analyze the game fairly, but McNutt's comments suggest something else entirely. It's one thing to have a critical take. It's another to be so clearly dismissive of reality that fans start to question your objectivity. Her refusal to acknowledge Clark's impact doesn't just alienate Clark's supporters. It makes McNutt look like she's pushing a personal grudge rather than offering a balanced perspective. That's why the reaction to her statements has been so intense. Fans aren't just disagreeing with her. They're calling her out for what they see as an agenda-driven narrative that ignores the facts. The backlash has reached a point where even other media personalities are starting to distance themselves from her comments, realizing that going against Clark at this stage is a losing battle.
Asia Wilson should be centered and they should be celebrating her. And all the little white girls should want to be like Asia Wilson. Little black girls don't want to be like Asia Wilson.
What's worse is that McNutt's stance doesn't just hurt her credibility, it could hurt her future in sports media. Viewers want analysts who provide honest, fact-based commentary. And when an analyst starts to sound like they have an axe to grind rather than offering objective insight, they lose their audience's trust. Right now, McNutt is walking a fine line. And if she continues down this path, she may find that fans and even networks start looking elsewhere for analysts who are willing to acknowledge the truth. In the end, Monica McNutt's career might not be completely over, but she's definitely damaged her reputation. The sports world isn't just about making bold takes, it's about making informed ones. And by refusing to acknowledge Caitlin Clark's undeniable impact, she's putting herself at odds with the very audience she's supposed to inform. The question now is whether she'll backtrack and recognize reality, or double down and risk losing even more credibility. Monica McNutt may have thought she was just giving her opinion, but the backlash has shown that fans aren't buying it. When an analyst ignores reality and dismisses a player as impactful as Caitlin Clark, it doesn't go unnoticed. The sports world moves fast, and credibility is everything. If McNutt continues down this path, she risks alienating the very audience that once respected her. The question now is, will she course correct, or has she already done irreversible damage to her career?